Hello, welcome to Oxford Heirlooms. Today I'm going to be shaping the horizontal curved band of lace on the yoke. So the pattern tells me, or the pattern instructions tell me to use the lace shaping board. So I'm going to go ahead and pin my yoke piece to my piece of foam core board, which is my lace shaping board. It's just a piece of foam core board that came from the Dollar Tree, and it works really well. Okay, now I have to shape this lace both along the top line and the bottom line at one time. So when I do this little concave curve right here, I'm gonna have to pull the header thread on the top part of the lace. And when I do this little concave curve here going around to the bottom, I'll have to pull the header thread on the bottom part of the lace. So let me get my piece of lace. I've got my arrows showing me which direction I want my lace to flow to. So let me find the end of the lace. There we go. Okay, so now my lace, if you can see this, it's flowing from left to right. So I'm going to start pinning up along the top. Let me hang my lace over the edge of the bodice so that I've got a little bit of salvage. And I'm going to begin to pin along the concave edge of the curve first. And then when I get to here, as you see, as I follow this little curve along, I get a little bit of looseness down here on the bottom, which I'll have to take care of. So let me pin this about every half an inch all the way along, and I'll do as a matter of fact, I probably will pin on both sides and go all the way along the bottom of the thing. But this will take me a minute to get this done. Okay, so I've got this pinned along the top of the concave curve, and I got a little bit of looseness down here on the bottom, and I'm going to leave that. Now, as I've gotten to where the concave curve is going to be on the top side, I'm going to switch my pins to where I'm pinning on the bottom of the lace, so that I can do this curve along the bottom next. And that will leave me with a little bit of looseness on the top edge of the lace. And then when I get to where the curve changes direction again, I'll start putting my pins on the top again. But this is going to take me a few minutes to get this pinned. Okay, as you can see, I've got some looseness down here at this bottom curve that I need to draw in. And I've got a little bit of looseness on the top edge here in the center that I need to draw in. And then once again, I have some looseness here at the bottom that I need to pull the header thread and shape also. So let me go to, what I tend to do is I try to find the middle of the loose part and start pulling my header thread from the middle of the loose part. So let me see if I can grab one header thread and pull that. But I think I'm going to do this off camera. So I'm going to do my pulling my header thread, because it's a difficult angle for me to do this work right now. Okay, so I have shaped the lace down along this edge. I've shaped the lace on this bottom edge too, and I shaped the lace up at the top edge. You might be able to see the little header thread that I pulled right here, but I went ahead and pinned. As you can see, I've got it pinned on both sides of the lace in the center dip, because I'm about to put my pins or pin my pins in flat just to the fabric, and I will be zigzagging the top edge of this lace. So I'm going to start up here at the top and start pinning my lace to the fabric and not the foam core board. Just following the line like I've done before. Okay, so this will take me a few minutes to get all these pins down flat. Okay, so I've got all these pins flat along here. You can see in the middle where, I'm not sure if you can see that little header thread that I pulled, but I've taken the pins out that were poked into the foam core board along the bottom of the middle of the lace scoop. Okay, now I've got my sewing machine set for a zigzag to zigzag lace on. So I'm going to take my anchor pins out of the bodice yoke, move my foam core board out of the way, and then I'm going to proceed to carefully and slowly zigzag the lace to the top of the blue line that I drew on the yoke. Okay, so I'll just do this slowly, taking my pins out as I come to them. Let me see if I can show you this a little bit better, but I'm just following the blue line in the header of the lace and taking my pins out as I come to them. Okay, so this will take me a couple of minutes to get all the way along the top edge of the lace. Okay, mission accomplished on the top edge of the lace. My little header thread is still hanging out here, so I'm going to clip that off. Okay, all right, now with my fabric cutting scissors, because I need to notch the batiste underneath the lace and press it back so that I can zigzag the second time, I'm going to go ahead and cut off some of this extra fabric that I have hanging down below. Okay. All right, now using my specialty scissors, since they have a dull point and won't pierce the lace and cut it, I'm going to be cutting some notches in the batiste all along this top curve. Just making sure to get the batiste and not the lace on the bottom. Now I am going to be cutting the lace that was vertical right there because it's just time to cut a notch. Okay, so this will take me a minute to get all these notches cut. Okay, as you can see, I've got this notched all along, so I need to go to the ironing board and I need to press my notches towards the back of the yoke piece so that I can come back and zigzag the second time. So that'll take me a minute. Okay, I have that pressed towards the back of the yoke piece, so I'm going to turn this over and zigzag along the line that I zigzagged before to anchor it safely into place. Okay, this will take me a minute to get this sewn. All right, I've got that zigzag. Now I'm going to turn it over, and using my specialty scissors, I'm going to clip all these notches off close to the sewing line. Kind of makes a mess because you're clipping off one little notch at a time. Okay, so this will take me a minute to get all of these notches cut off. Okay, I've got that all trimmed from behind and it's looking really pretty. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of entrecot just a little bit longer than the bottom edge of the bodice. Okay, now my instructions tell me to clip one side of the entrecot away. Okay, so I have clipped one side of the entrecot, the batiste, off of the entrecot. Now, because I'm going to have to shape it on this curved edge, I need to cut notches about every half an inch in the entrecot. Okay, so this will take me a minute to get all these notches cut. Okay, so the instructions say, at the ironing board, shape the entrecot to fit the lower curves of the yoke pattern. So I need to take my yoke and my entrecot and press and starch to where it will basically hold its shape. And then I'll come back and butt the trimmed edge of the entrecot and the insertion lace together and zigzag to join that. Okay, so I'll be back I'm going back to the ironing board for a minute. Okay, so I provided a little snapshot of what I did at the ironing board. The curve has kind of disappeared again, but what I did when I was at the ironing board, I took my blue fabric marking pen and I marked over here on the left-hand edge where I'm supposed to start sewing and butt it up against the lace. I've also got it marked in the center, and hopefully, if I'm lucky, it'll all line up as I get this sewn on. Now I'm gonna just check my little header threads that I pulled out to maintain the two bottom curves, and I'm going to very carefully, using my sewing machine and my zigzag again, I'm going to butt the lace up to the trimmed side of the entrecot and begin, let's see, I need to set my machine to entrecot. Okay. Because I had a different stitch length for just sewing just the plain lace. And I have another stitch length that I use for when I'm sewing entrecot. Now I'm going to lower my needle to make sure that I'm going in one of the entrecot holes and not piercing one of the rungs of the ladder. And I'm going to slowly start zigzagging this lace to the entrecot. Now you got to be careful to maintain this curve. So don't pull on your lace because it'll stretch that header thread back out. Okay? So I'm going to go slowly and just sew my lace to my entrecot. Okay, so this will take me a minute or so to get this all sewn on along the bottom edge. Okay, whew, phew, that worked out real well. Okay, so I've got the entredot sewn to the bottom edge, and look here, my 2 center marks on the lace and on the entredot did match up, so I was real happy about that. And it's laying fairly flat, and it is a nice curved piece of lace. Okay, now the instructions mention something about some tearaway stabilizer under the yoke, but I don't ever do that. When I finish the dress, what I'm going to do to stabilize this horizontal horizontal lace band is I'm going to hand stitch a little bit of white silk organza behind here, because silk organza is so thin, it really won't show behind the lace, but it'll give some stability. So if the child steps on the front of the dress, they won't tear the skirt of the dress away from the bodice by ripping the lace, because that is a possibility, and I've seen that happen before. But sewing this bottom curved lace to the bodice was what I was doing today, and I think that now I have my pieces ready to begin to construct the garment next. So in the next video, I will begin to sew the shoulder seams up at the top of the yoke piece to the back bodice pieces, and we'll be on a roll. Thank you.